We got one final thing on this longer than I expected version of the supercast, and that is this. Lottie, Blade, the original Blade, the OG Blade, came out 25 years ago as of yesterday. Uh, wow, is all I can say. Uh, I it came out in 1998, and this is pre X Men, right? No, the X Men hadn't come out. Obviously, the MCU didn't exist. Spider Man hadn't come out yet. None of that stuff was out yet. It was this. This was it. It was a superhero movie that people didn't know was a superhero movie. It was a Marvel movie, and this was. It had a Marvel logo on it. Before that meant anything to most people, right? And I went into it knowing, hey, I know Blade's a comic book character. I hadn't really read anything with. I know he exists and what he does, and uh, my God, what a fucking great movie! It's R-rated too, also. Probably one besides Deadpool, like the only R-rated Marvel thing you're ever gonna really see. About the Daywalker Blade who hunts vampires and is having to deal with Deacon Frost, who has this plan to you know, basically rule the world, have vampires rule the world, and full of action and like blood and just like quips and Wesley Snipes kicking ass. I mean, like, what the fuck wasn't there to love? So, Lottie, in light of this, you know, and I've sort of started doing it. Let's talk about Blade and its impact on comic book movies, and like, you know, what it meant culturally for us as blurs, what it culturally meant for us, and how it sort of affects how we're going to look forward to the new Blade.
When I think of 90s superhero movies, of course, the Batman movies come up, but also another two movies that come up is Blade and Spawn.
What
And
about Kazam or
get that nonsense.
Steel?
Man, get that out of here. Spawn and Blade were big time movies in my childhood. I loved Blade and I loved Spawn. Because first of all, like you said, they were black. They were black. And they were the edgy. They were like beyond Batman. Because they were dealing with things that were supernatural. Batman was dark, but Batman didn't deal with the supernatural. They deal with the supernatural. Blade started so many things because I was Buffy the Vampire Slayer before or after?
The movie was before.
Okay,
but the TV show was after.
But a lot of Blade was a huge pop culture icon. Blade made Wesley Snipe. You know what I mean? Like when we think of Wesley Snipe, we think of Blade, and that's because of what it was. And it changed so many things. Because of Blade's popularity, Spider-Man got the green light. You know what I mean? Of course, we had other movies that got green lighted too, and that was only thing good about it was one actor in it. Besides that, the movie sucked. But you already know what movies I'm talking about.
Right.
But it was the start of the superhero. The MCU would not exist without Blade. I'm being honest. The MCU would not exist without Blade because everyone attributes the MCU to the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy. But the Sam Raimi trilogy will not exist if Blade wasn't there. Blade is the reason, and even X-Men, Blade was the reason that superheroes started becoming something that was not named Batman and Superman. Can be something that you can actually take seriously and make a movie about it. You know what I mean? Because before, a lot of times, we grew up in the corny era where the superheroes that were not Batman or Superman, they were corny. You had the Hulk, which, people swear by that TV show, but when I see it, I just cringe.
Yes.
Same thing with the Wonder Woman TV show. I watch it.
And there was in the early 90s, there was The Flash, and they try. I mean, look, they tried, but I think the thing about Blade is they took a character who didn't need CG to be badass. He's a street level hero. Let's call it like it is. Yes, there's CG and effects and whatever because the vampire stuff or whatever. They took what a vampire story and turned it into a kick-ass, vigilante, semi-Punisher-ish superhero. That's not a superhero. He doesn't wear he wears a cape sort of, but it's a trench coat, and he's just like fucking vampires up. And then there's a character in there, a doctor who doesn't know shit, and she's us basically. We're going around like, what's going on in this world? Like, I was just watching it, before we started talking. And yeah, 25 years ago, there's some effects that are weird. And obviously, filming styles are different and we're more digital now and etc. And the VFX, it's a little dated. But the general idea and the aesthetic, hell, The Matrix came out a year later with the raves and goth stuff and all that, leather and ass kicking while you're looking cool and stylish. Blade did that shit. He had the sunglasses on and the fucking sword and was running on walls and fucking people up, a bunch of people at the same time, He was, there's the goth raves and stuff like that was going on, the techno music, LA looking like, strung out and weird and the underground nightlife, all that stuff was going on in there. And plus, as you said, Wesley Snipes was kicking ass. He looked so fucking cool. Look, this is how cool Blade was to me. Some years later, and look, hey, we all go through it. I wrote some damn Blade fan fiction because Blade was so fucking cool, and this was just, he wasn't Superman, he wasn't these other costume heroes. He just kicked ass, and just it was just different. And I think we see some of that DNA in later action heroes that are just punching the shit out of people,
Yeah. Like I said, man, congratulations, man. 25 years. Man, there are people out here that are grown adults paying bills that wasn't born when Blade was out. Jesus.
There's some people out here on these streets that ain't even watched Blade before, which is blasphemy as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing with your life? Go watch Blade, man.
I don't give a damn what anybody says. Blade is a hood classic. It is a hood classic. Fight me. Fight me, black people.
My man,
Blade is considered a hood classic.
He is a little blaxploitation. And by the way, the character Blade did come about during the exploitation era of in the 70s when horror and grindhouse and everything. He's a grindhouse hero. Dude's rolling around in a badass muscle car. He's got a fucking silver sword slicing motherfuckers up. I mean, what else do you want? And there's vampires going around, doing silly ass shit. There's a big old fight at the end where a dude basically turns into Neo, a vampire Neo, and Blade has to fight him. Again, the fuck else do you want from a superhero thing? Okay. Just go, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you have watched it, go watch that shit again and give some appreciation to this movie that, crazy enough, came out 25 years ago. Lottie, but I think it's fair to say we getting old. Or
yeah.
I've been old, you're getting old. Because
yeah.
25 years ago, that's crazy, man.